Fasua is the Chief Executive Officer of ANAN and immediate past Director General of the Nigerian College of Accountancy. With over 30 years' experience in accountancy, IT and management sciences, he holds a PhD in accounting and finance. A fellow of several professional bodies, he has led major IT initiatives and serves as a technical advisor on the PFA board, blending academic and corporate expertise.
Thank you so much. Please join hands together. Je vous demande de bien vouloir applaudir pour accueillir le docteur Kayode. C'est la représentation du Nigeria. This is a representative of Nigeria. Thank you so much, doctor. Naramuta. Say it again, Naramuta.
No problem, I have that. Good morning. Naramuta. ACOA is Chigali, not Kigali. It's Chigali. I'm sure. We were told yesterday by Rwandans that it's pronounced Chigali, not Ki. Chigali. Good morning. Let me recognize the presence of the immediate past president of PAFA here seated, Côte. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. At this expert forum, we shall be discussing a very important topic titled Cybersecurity and Data Protection, Ensuring the Security of Financial Data in a Digital World. As the digital transformation accelerates across industries, the financial sector has become and has emerged as a primary target for cyber threats due to the highly sensitive nature and value of financial data. With the increasing reliance on digital platforms by banking, investment, and transaction, safeguarding financial data has become a critical priority. Financial institutions, including banks, fintech firms, and insurance companies, face mounting pressure to protect their digital infrastructures against complex cyber attacks while maintaining customers' trust and ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements. This morning, a panel has been put in place to discuss this all-important topic. And the objective of this session is to examine the unique cybersecurity challenges and data protection concerns faced by the accountancy profession in safeguarding financial data in digital age. The panel will provide insight into best practices for compliance, for risk management, and the implementation of robust cybersecurity measures. By bringing together industry experts, we aim to enhance the understanding of evolving threats and to empower accounting professionals with tools necessary to protect clients' data and maintain trust in financial reporting. This session has a flow. And so 3 topics will be discussed this morning by 2 panelists. And the topics are on regulatory compliance and best practices in data protection, securing financial data in digital age, and emerging technologies and their impact on data security. I'll be inviting the panelists one after the other. They will spend 10 minutes each on those 3 topics, and thereafter we'll have a panel discussion of about 30 minutes, and for another 15 minutes we'll throw the throw it to the floor for questions from the audience, and we'll have a wrap-up of another 5 minutes, and we'll call it a day. This session promises to be a very interesting and exciting one, and I would like to encourage us to please be all ears and share your experience, ask questions as well, and of course, giving your input. And so, to kickstart this morning, I will be inviting the first panelist, who will be introduced electronically, and that is Armand-Thierry Messou. Please,
he is the president of the Digital Commission at the Order of Chartered Accountants of Côte d'Ivoire and chief executive officer of ATM Conseil en IA et Transformation. A certified public accountant and certified fraud examiner, he has over 15 years' experience across 3 continents, specializing in AI, cybersecurity, and digital transformation. He holds executive education credentials from MIT, Harvard Business School, and HEC Paris. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Monsieur Armand-Thierry Charles Messou.
Sarah will be speaking to us in English. Thank you very much. And when you finish speaking, please come and sit up there.
Will do. Good. Thank you. Mwaramutse mweze. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Bom dia a todos. I will be doing my keynote in English because it seems that about 90% of the audience speaks English. So today, we are going to tackle this subject, which is regulatory compliance and best practices in data protection. And this subject, as the moderator said, is really important. Why is that so? Mastering data protection is essential for professionals in the accountancy field. This presentation delves into securing financial data and regulatory compliance and best practices designed specifically for accounting professionals. This guide covers importance of data protection, key regulation, security measures, technology solution, and strategies to keep client information safe and also to maintain trust. So let's deep dive here in the core concept by defining data protection. So data protection involves processes and strategies to safeguard sensitive data from corruption, compromise, or loss, ensuring accuracy and confidentiality. And why is it that important in accounting? Because financial data are highly valuable and prime target for breaches. Protecting it is crucial to maintain client trust and comply with legal and ethical responsibilities. Let's look together at different key regulation and compliance frameworks. The first that you probably heard of is GDPR. General Data Protection Rules. Those relate to data with EU citizens. So if you hear me right, I didn't say data that is located in EU. I said data related to EU citizens. So if in your country there is EU citizen, which is most likely, you will be confronted with this rule. And this rule deals with the responsibilities for data controllers and processors. And the penalties, if those rules are not followed, can amount to up to 4% of the global turnover of your company, or 25 million euro, the higher of both. You also have Sarbanes-Oxley that you probably know after 2000 and all the scandals. Why talking about Sarbanes-Oxley in this subject of regulatory compliance and data protection? Because it's one of the first laws that bring together the fact to protect the data of your clients and making sure that the system in place in your company keeps those data secure. Other compliance framework, this time specific to finance. Next, please. So you have PCI DSS. Our banker friends here know very well what I'm talking about. PCI DSS means protected credit card. So it's related to credit card protection. And there are 12 key security requirements for merchants. And the fine for not complying with this rule ranges from $5,000 to $100,000 per month for breaches. Another law, this time related to the US, Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, GLBA. It protects consumers' financial information, includes safeguards and protecting rules. It's enforced by the Federal Trade Commission, and you'll say, well, we're in Africa, why are you talking about those US rules? Again, it's for US citizens, and I'm pretty sure that there is US citizen pretty much everywhere. Now, let's look together at the best practices in terms of data security. First, encryption. If you deal with data that is not encrypted, it could be stolen all along the way, from the place it has been built, so on your computer, throughout the channel that is used to send this information, internet, or at the final stage, meaning when the information is received by the person it was intended to. Why you encrypt data? Even though someone intercept those information through man-in-the-middle attack, for instance, you won't be able to do anything with it because it will all be encrypted. So my recommendation is to use EAS 256 type of encryption, which is very popular because it's very robust in terms of length of the key. So it offers strong protection for data at rest and also in transit. Full disk encryption on devices, including USB thumb drive, and TLS-SSL for communication. This helps your, when I say TSL, SSL, I don't want to be using a lot of acronyms here, but in a nutshell, when you connect to internet, to your bank, for instance, and you see HTTPS, the S at the end means secured. So those are in a really, broad way to describe it, what TLS-SSL means. So it's a set of rules that make website very secure. It protects your data, personal data, banking data, and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of access control, once your data are protected at rest and in transit, you also need to make sure that only the right people can access them. So here we deal with implementing role-based access control. You can say, okay, for this person, for instance, those will be his access. What if he leaves? Would you do the same for the next person? To avoid doing this, we do what we call role-based access control. If you're a CEO, those are the access that are necessary to you. There's another principle that we use, which is called the principles of least privilege. We give you the least access possible. And if you need more, you request it. And we analyze whether it is necessary or not before granting it. Multi-factor authentication, you're probably very familiar with it. When you log into your bank account, you put your login, your password, and then they send you another 6 or 8 digit number on your cell phone or your email. And you have to type those keys to be able to access to your device. Why is that so? Because your password could have been compromised through a keylogger, for instance. To make sure that no one is tapping into your bank account, they send you another message on your cell phone, which is supposed to be locked in general, especially for men. And best practices in terms of data loss prevention. There is two kinds of people, the people who know that they've been hacked and the people who don't know that they've been hacked. But no one here has never been hacked, impossible. Now it's all about defining how much your data is worth to the hacker. Anyway, to avoid suffering from hacking, you need to put in place data loss prevention strategies, utilizing monitoring tools for network, endpoint, and cloud environment to prevent unauthorized data exfiltration. This is why in most of the companies, you can't just plug a USB thumb and then retrieve data. It is locked. That's a very minimum. Other companies use VPN to prevent the employees from using their personal email address to send any information. Those are basic rules to be followed, and there are more, but I only have 10 minutes, so I won't deep dive in those. In terms of data retention and disposal, you must adopt secure destruction methods and comply with regulatory data retention mandate to limit risk of exposure. When you're done with an old computer, what do you do with it? You offer it to your nephew? Wrong idea. You should remove the hard drive first, because even though you have formatted the hard drive, we can retrieve data, and it's getting easier and easier thanks to AI, which is everybody's mentors, including the young people. Technology solution for data protection. Encryption software, to name a few, like VeraCrypt or BitLocker, provide robust encryption to protect sensitive files and devices. Other type of system are called SIEM systems, security information and event management, that enables real-time threat detection and integrates with IDS IPS system for proactive defense. This is a lot of acronyms in one sentence. In a nutshell, you have some sort of a dashboard that tells you whether or not you are being hacked at the moment. There is no use of knowing whether you've been hacked yesterday. It's too late. Your data are gone. So it's like a security system at your home. When a burglar tries to get in the house, it rings, and it's all locked. Now, cloud security. Let me shock you. There is no such thing as cloud computing. No server are based in the cloud. Nothing. It's just rain, thunder, but there is no server there. The servers are somewhere in Amazon Web Service, Microsoft Azure, or in China. And what we call cloud computing is just the mean for you to access your data without being physically there. But this mean is quite obscure for most of us, and it poses great threats that we'll see in the next keynote that I will give in about 20 minutes. So Amazon Web Service, Microsoft Azure, offer built-in security features and compliance certification tailored for financial data. Next, incident response planning. Let's say you've been hacked. What do? It could be ransomware. Your data are locked, and you need to get them back. To avoid getting there, you should put together an incident response steps strategy before getting there. Plans include identification, containment, eradication, recovery, and post-incident review. My watch is telling me that my time is almost done, so I'm speeding up. Data breach notification, mandatory compliance with GDPR, CCPA, and similar regulations notify affected parties promptly. If you hold data of someone and those data have been compromised, you must tell them, elsewhere you could be sentenced to pay a fine for breaching the GDPR rule. Testing and update, regular drills and plan revision ensure readiness and effectiveness. Employee training awareness. You can have a fortress in terms of IT. If your employee are not trained, you are doomed. So training, important. Regular education helps staff recognize phishing, social engineering, and follow secure password protocols. Build a security culture in your company by fostering awareness that encourages proactive behaviors that protect clients' data and firms' reputation. And now I'm concluding. Building a data protection strategy. The key takeaways here are strong regulatory compliance, layered security controls, employee training, and incident readiness are vital pillars. Continuous improvement. Constantly monitor, update policies, and adopt emerging technologies to stay ahead of threats, because it's changing every day. And last but not least, protecting trust. Safeguarding financial data, build client confidence, and preserve firm reputation in a competitive market. Thank you for your kind attention.
Can we put our hands together once again for that beautiful presentation? And in this presentation, we're still going to have a panel discussion, but he has briefly spoken to us on data protection, what it's all about, what are the key regulations and compliance frameworks around it, what are the best practices that we can have for data security measures, what are the technology solutions for data protection, what are the incident response planning, because no matter the security you put in place, there will always still be chinks in the hole that cyber criminals can still penetrate. And so, what are the incident response planning that you have in place so that you don't have a downtime that will be too long? And of course, he gave us a conclusion on building a data protection strategy. Thank you very much, Thierry, for your presentation. The next presentation will be talking on the keynote input titled, Securing Financial Data in the Digital Age. And this time around, our speaker panelist, Noah Baalessanvu, all the way from Uganda, will be speaking to us. Can we have his introduction digitally, please?
He is an electrical engineer with over 17 years in cybersecurity and 7 in telecommunications. He founded Computer Forensics Consult, pioneering digital forensics in East Africa. He chairs Uganda's National Information Security Advisory Group and heads technology at Savannah Group. He is a board member of the Blockchain Association of Uganda, serves on Uganda's 4th Industrial Revolution Task Force, and holds global roles in blockchain and data security organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Mr. Noah Baalessanvu.
Good morning. I hope we are all awake. Good morning. Yes. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you to PAFA and the ACOA team, and thank you also to ICPAR, who are always generous in inviting me, an engineer, for these accounting events. At this rate, I think I should be given my certificate of practice. So the accounting fraternity, I've been speaking about cybersecurity in the accounting fraternity for the last 15 years, almost every year except during COVID. And so I'm glad once again to come and discuss these pertinent issues of cybersecurity. This is not going to get old anytime soon, given the rate at which technology develops, the rate at which technology is being adopted. Cybersecurity is going to remain a core part of the accounting profession. And I'm just here to share a few thoughts on what has changed over the last few years and how the accounting profession itself needs to adopt and adjust, evolve with the changing trends and adapt cybersecurity at its core. Over the 20 plus years of my career in cybersecurity, I have seen this stop being a small topic or a panel session in conversations like this to becoming a core part of the accounting training curriculum. I have been personally involved in multiple countries in designing curricula that involves and embeds cybersecurity into the accreditation of accountants, and I find that as a great progress that has been made. And I applaud every member here because I know you have been part of that transformation. So I'm here to quickly discuss the theme of safeguarding financial data in the digital age. Now, one of the things that we can agree on is that when we say digital age, this has changed significantly over the last number of years. I remember very vividly that if you asked people in a room like this before COVID, what the next 5 years or 10 years would look like, I can guarantee you they would not have seen what has happened after COVID. The explosion of online technologies, and the most recent, the explosion of artificial intelligence. But with the fast-changing pace of technology advancement, the cybersecurity flaws are still the same. And so not to sound mundane or redundant, I'm just going to give you a few highlights of what's happening around the world. And I'll focus it on Africa, where most of us are from. Just last year, Uganda witnessed a heist of about $16 million from the central bank. This was a well-orchestrated cybersecurity attack, and I'm sure many of you have seen this in the press. There was insider involvement, plus also colluding with professional hackers outside the country, and through a series of offshore transfers, this money was siphoned off. Now, a majority of it was recovered, but still an amount was lost. And this highlighted many weaknesses, weak controls, and my colleague has mentioned some of the safeguards against that. But the thing that I'd want to ask us is if this can happen to a central bank, which has government-scale budgets to protect critical infrastructure, what about your organization? How would you position your organization? How would you rate your organization in its preparedness for an attack? What are the priorities of the leadership in your organization? And actually, why should accountants care? I'm going to give us a few points on why this should be very important to accountants and all the accounting professionals in the room. One, trust is slowly becoming a line item in our accounting books. Why? Statistics show that 88% of investors look at perceived cyber risk as a weakness, and thus affecting valuation of an organization. So if an organization does not demonstrate rigidity in cybersecurity measures, that can even affect the organization's valuation. Cyber disclosures are now mainstream. We are seeing the rise of regulations and standard operating procedures that require mandatory disclosures. You have the SEC Form 8K, IFRS on sustainability, and also there's some PAFA guidelines that talk about disclosures when you have a cyber incident. Breaches attract fines. I don't need to tell you this, that every material breach forces regulators to put fines. And my colleague has mentioned some of the fines that are there, especially from very stringent regulations like the GDPR. And even more recently, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda have passed data protection laws that have very strict penalties on breaches and on personal identifiable data. So accounting needs to lead on the cyber front. Cyber is not only an IT concern, it's not only a board concern, it's the whole organization's concern. And so accountants must build cyber-ready compliance checklists into the audit plans and champion cyber economic matrix in order to bring these things to the surface. A quick statistic I came across from a recent report by IBM said, and which is related to those statistics there, these numbers might look arbitrary. For example, the global average, these numbers show that the cost of a data breach to an organization. So the global average is about $5 million to an organization. In Africa, our average is about $3 million. But in the financial sector alone, the cost of a breach is on average about $6 million. What does it mean? What does it boil down to? I did some quick calculation, and from the IBM report where I got this from, it boils down to about $149 per personal record. So think about your customers in your organization and the personal identifiable information that you have about them. Each record, where a record is maybe an ID number, a name, email address, gender, just those records in your system, a breach would cost you $149 per record. So then the question then becomes, how are you protecting those records? And is the protection cost commensurate to the financial loss that would happen if those records are lost? Just some food for thought. Recently, again, just to span some more African examples, I've already talked about the BOU hack, the Bank of Uganda hack, but there was also recently a Standard Bank breach, data breach, Even in Zimbabwe, there was a ransomware. We are seeing a rise of ransomware attacks. Why are we seeing a rise of ransomware attacks? From a technical perspective, organizations are starting to wake up and starting to protect data, and so breaching systems directly is very costly to actors. And so it's only very sophisticated hacking groups that go after direct data. So what do other less sophisticated hackers do? They throw in ransomware because they know they can't get the bounty. They lock your data in the hope of a few $1,000s to get you to access your data. And it is very, very lucrative. So what they do, they hold your data ransom, you pay a fine, and then they give you back, hopefully, your data. The statistics are only 60% of ransomware payouts are actually fulfilled. So there's the other 40% of people who actually don't get back their data. So it's a very lucrative business in the dark web. And so even Zimbabwe had a very visible ransomware attack. Just to spotlight on the regulatory side, I've just mentioned, and my colleague has mentioned, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But the SEC cyber disclosures are very, very stringent. You're given up to 4 business days to disclose a cyber attack, otherwise you're going to be fined. I just mentioned that in East Africa, countries like Rwanda, where they have the data privacy laws, which are already now in force, fines of up to 1% of global turnover are fined onto organizations that do not meet their regulatory requirements on data protection. Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda similarly have data protection laws that are very strict and are being enforced right now. And that's why I said accountants must build cyber-ready compliance checklists into audit plans to avoid regulatory penalties and personal liability. So, what are the new attack vectors to watch? Like I mentioned, we are getting stronger in our technical capacity, in our technology deployments. Even a small financial institution, when you do your checks, you'll find that they have some significant cybersecurity measures in place at a technical level. But as you've noticed, the weakness still remains with a human being. As human beings, we are still the weakest link in the chain. And so with millions of dollars invested to protect critical infrastructure, the weakness, what are we spending on training? And those were the closing remarks of my colleague Thierry, that it is the training of the employees, training of the people, that is where a lot of security measures can be taken. But what are these trends that we should look out for? With the proliferation of artificial intelligence, we are seeing AI-assisted attacks. Phishing still remains. When I talk about phishing, I'm not meaning looking for fish, but I'm talking about phishing with a PH. The analogy is very similar, but it's spelled with a PH. Phishing is still the #1 way in which attackers gain access to systems, because they attack the person, social engineering the person directly. Now, with phishing emails or phishing messages, they used to be clunky, clumsy, and filled with errors. But right now, the phishing attacks are so sophisticated, they look very genuine. Why? Because the attackers are using AI. And AI-authored phishing attacks are now getting on the rise. Artificial AI can now create videos from scratch. You put in a few pictures and then type in a text and you've created a video. So deepfakes are now serious threats. There was a very interesting case in South Korea where a person joined a Zoom call with a deepfake video, and they were supposed to approve a payment. And he saw the person, he talked to the person on Zoom, approved the payment. First of all, he got a phishing email, and so he didn't believe that was a genuine request for approval. So he called for a Zoom meeting. He gets on the Zoom meeting, a person appears on the other side of Zoom, looking well-dressed, looks like the person he knows, asks him questions, and they approved the payment after talking to the person on Zoom, only to realize a few hours later that it was an AI. So this is the reality check for us, that AI, with all its benefits, also come with risks. Supply chain compromises. The #1 cause for attacks in any system come from third parties. Because as a financial institution or as your organization, you're spending as much as you can, you're aware, and you're spending on your cybersecurity. But are your third parties doing the same? Are your contractors doing the same? And so those are the #1 areas in which risks enter. And then the protection of personal identifiable data. Right now, with the rise of social media, we have a lot of PII hanging around our systems. And it just takes one breach and the $149 per record kicks in. How well are we protecting that? So because of time, I'm just going to skip through, but let me talk about the 5 pillars of cybersecurity. What are the things you can do? Secure your people. Training, training, training. This will never get old. With all the expense you're spending on those state-of-the-art systems, your weakest link is still people. Spend on training them, retraining them, and putting the safeguards around them because they remain still the weakest link. Technology, my colleague has already mentioned all the necessary technology plugins that we need to do as organizations, so I'm not going to spend too much time there. Processes, compliance is still key. Meeting the compliance and talking to accounting professionals, I know this is your bread and butter. So I don't need to emphasize this alone, but remember that we have these 3 pillars, the people, processes, and technology. And then there is assurance. Insist on third-party, because of the third-party risk, these need to be mitigated. And so extending your assurances to your third parties, your contractors, your subcontractors, is very key to protect yourself. And create a cybersecurity culture. Security is a culture. Security is not a practice. It is not a thing you're trained on, then you check a box, I have the certificate. No, security is a culture. And bearing that security culture is one of the quickest steps that we can make. And finally, just a last statement, because I'm out of time. If data is the new oil, then the accountants or the accounting profession are the oil refinery operators. We need to secure the pipelines or the economy catches fire. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. That was quite explicit, quite thought-provoking. Remember the key points here. Cybersecurity is not only an IT concern, but it is everyone's concern, including accountants' concerns. Because everything today is on, like you said, the cloud. But the cloud is not in the cloud. The cloud is physical somewhere. The only thing is that you can access that infrastructure without being there physically. And he said, how are we protecting our organizations as accountants against the huge cost of financial security breach? He talked about ransomware attack. Ransomware attack is just like physical kidnapping. It's just as if your infrastructure, your IT infrastructure is physically kidnapped because you left it open somehow, and a cyber criminal is able to gain access to it, block you off yourself, change the security system, and contacts you and tells you, if you want it back, you pay so amount. Mostly in bitcoins, right? Not physical cash, not a bank account. And until you pay, before it will be released to you. And there's been various discussions around it. Must you pay? Should you pay? If you pay, are you not encouraging this? But if you don't pay, how do you get access back to your data? Because data is life. And he also spoke about the place of training for the personnel. The weakest point in the security, in a cybersecurity system, is the human beings. Because it is the human beings that will also implement it. And if they don't know what to do properly, the cyber criminals will easily take advantage of them. When you talk about social engineering, it's just simply like me asking you, please can you give me your password? You will not give me. But the next thing I can do is to warm up to you, become your friend, give you my own password first. The day I will ask you for your password, you won't know. And so we need to train our staff over and over again. Thank you very much. ACOA. ACOA. Chigali. ACOA. Chigali. ACOA. Chigali.
Naramuta. Are you supporting Barcelona here? You know, yeah, two days ago, I was still supporting Barcelona. And there was a nice place. I mean, there was a nice place here. Then I went to watch football match. Then when I reached the entrance, the beautiful ladies welcomed me, you know. So I was expecting the traditional payment system. And they said, do you have your card? I said, yeah, I have my card. And the lady looked at me. By the way, they are very beautiful in Kigali, you know. So the lady looked at me and she said, bring your card. And I was expecting, you know, just give me this small machine, I put my card inside and I put my code. She said, no, just do this, you know. And I said, I should do this? She said, yeah, do this. Then I did this.
Man is gone.
When I finished doing this, I said, what's the next step? She said, it's okay. I said, what's okay? She said, we are taking the money already. I said, how can this possible? How can this be possible? I didn't put my code. They said, no, your card was not protected. And the worst thing is that Barcelona lose. Mr. Moderator, thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll be taking the third and the last keynote inputs. The panelist does not need another introduction. He took the first keynote input. This time around, he'll be talking on emerging technologies and their impacts on data security. Welcome, Armand-Thierry Messou, as he does his 10 minutes presentation. Please put your hands together for him.
Hi again. So here in Kigali and in Rwanda in general, they say, ubumenyi ni ubutunzi. Knowledge is wealth. I don't think so. I think that knowledge is potential wealth until you know how to use it. Elsewhere, you just see it. So today we are going to talk about emerging technologies and their impact on data security strategies. As my friend here told you, his card was debited, contactless. Imagine your wallet in your pocket. Someone pass by and take your money away. Have you ever thought about it? In the subway, for instance, or in the bus. There are special wallet keys to prevent people from doing this. It costs some money, but they will save you some trouble. So let's get in the presentation now. Africa is accelerating towards a digital economy driven by mobile payments, M-Pesa and so on, e-tax systems and cloud-based ERPs. But with every leap forward come greater exposure. Cyber attacks, data leaks, and system vulnerabilities now threaten financial integrity. As chartered accountants, we are no longer just financial stewards. We are digital risk advisors. In this session or keynote, we'll explore how to harness the benefits of AI, APIs, and cloud platforms while building a strong defense around the most valuable asset we manage, trust. Digital transformation in Africa, it is viewed by rapid transformation through payments, taxation, financial reporting. Those are evolving very fast. And the emerging technologies, you all heard about it, AI. In every survey we did over the last 3 days, AI always came in first. APIs, it's AI with a P in the middle. No, more seriously, it's a backdoor to your website, to your banking system, to your ERP. But let's imagine a house very secured with an alarm system, strong gates and everything. But there is a back door, even worse, which is left open by your son. Guess what will happen? Midnight, the burglar will come, next thing you know, your car is gone. So API are like backdoors. They need to be checked to avoid bad surprises. Cloud computing, fuel innovation and efficiency. You can use Google Drive, you can use Dropbox, not to need to be at home to have your data. It protects your data, but it also comes with some risks. Opportunities and the flip side of the coin, which is risks. New tech brings cybersecurity and compliance challenges as well. Our role as accountants, African chartered accountants, guide organizations throughout this digital maze. Let's look at AI and machine learning. It's a double-edged sword. AI uses, it's great for fraud detection, risk assessment, and anomaly detection because it analyzes patterns. It normally goes this way. The day it does this, you know that there is an issue, so it flags it to you. Security risk that comes with AI use. The same way AI can prevent people from hacking you, it can help them do it easily. There is now AI-powered attack. You can do brute force on a password using AI. Data poisoning, what is that? ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Claude or any other LLM it's a pre-trained model. But what if you poison this pre-trained model? And every time you see a bus, he thinks that that's an elephant. It is doable, it is feasible, and it's not that expensive. Adversarial manipulation. That is how to influence a model, again, to give a wrong answer, but on a specific context. Let's say I can make it if they say Armand-Thierry Messou in the system, they say it's the president of Côte d'Ivoire. Of course, I will end up in jail, but that's another subject. Real example, deepfakes exploited in phishing scams targeting financial institutions. Noah gave us the example of someone using deepfake to access to a bank account in Hong Kong. Mitigation steps. You need to have robust data validation. Explainable AI models. For now, it's a black box. You see it like, wow, it eases my life. Yeah, it also steals all your data. Continuous monitoring. Next, APIs. Connectivity and vulnerability. Again, it's a backdoor to your system. The benefits is streamlined data exchanges, open banking, integrated services. Things go fast, they are easier. You can swipe your card and it's okay. The risk are the vulnerabilities that can expose data and allow unauthorized access. Example were already given, so I won't insist on that. But in 2023, XP API breach leaked millions in South Africans' data. For mitigation, you need to do security testing, pen testing, strong authentication, long password, the longer the better, rate limiting and encryption. Some people will say, well, if my password is too long and complex, wouldn't I be forgetting it? It depends. You can use a password manager like 1Password or other similar to help manage your keys. I have about 256 different passwords because I use a password managers, and they're all very long. Yes, I have things to hide. Blockchain and cryptocurrency, decentralized security challenge. Oh, I've jumped over, okay, cloud computing. Cloud computing, security in the cloud. Again, there is no such thing as data in the cloud. It is somewhat Google, at Amazon, at Facebook, you name it. The benefit, it's scalable, it's cost-effective and accessible infrastructure. You don't need to pay for your own servers when you start. How great. The risk, data breaches, misconfiguration and compliance issues. Example, a misconfiguration at Amazon Web Service. Bucket exposed Kenyan bank clients' data in 2024. I won't say which bank. Mitigation, follow cloud security best practices, use encryption and access controls. They are box to tick the right ones. Blockchain and cryptocurrency, decentralized security challenges. Applications, security transaction, supply chain tracking through the blockchain, and digital identity. The risks are known. Smart contract could have flaws. Private keys could be stolen. Some people were kidnapped so they can give their wallet private key. Regulatory gaps. Regulation is always behind technology, and that's the way it is. Political people need to discuss on how to put things together, and people need to agree. In the same time, hackers are learning, and they are using what they know and the technology to exploit any vulnerabilities. Example, A year and a half ago, there was a 625 million running network hack, exploited bridge protocol weaknesses. What is that? In cryptocurrency, and I will be very short in that, you have a blockchain, like a chain of transaction. But at some point, you can do a bridge. It's like you can do a fork. Let's say you have randa francs and you have randa francs prime. And at some point, people want to pay in randa franc. They see prime, they say, oh, it could be a typo. And they start paying on that. With just this little trick, the hackers was able to harness $625 million back in mid-2023. For prevention, secure coding, multi-factor authentication. 2 is no longer enough. You need 3. And strong compliance. The IoT, Internet of Things, it expands the attack surfaces. We have smartwatches, smart cameras, smart fridges, smart everything, smart bags, and you name it. The problem is that each of those devices could be used to do something that is called DDoS, Distributed Denial of Service. It means you can try to access at the same time, let's say the portal of a bank. It has a certain capacity, which is sometimes is not that flexible. If, for instance, at the moment, 2 billion people are trying to log in to Kenya to run that bank portal, the website would say, I can't work no more. And those devices that you use could be hacked and they will try to access. That's what we call DDoS. And we have a lot of connected devices. The risks, device flaws, data leaks, or botnet-driven DDoS attack. By the way, if you have Alexa at home, I can listen to you. Example, IoT devices fuel DDoS attacks, cyber attacks, as I said, on Rwanda infrastructure. This happened here in this very country. Mitigation, hardened device security, password. I even have password for my watch. Segment network, deploy intrusion detection. Data security strategies for chartered accountant. It starts by the tip. Compliance framework. Follow GDPR and local data protection regulations. Then, do risk assessments. Identify and address security vulnerabilities regularly. Do security trainings. The best doors is useless if left open by someone. Educate teams on emerging cyber threats and best practices. And last but not least, incident response. You need to be fast. Prepare effective plan for breach detection and recovery. Few case studies I want to insist on. In one Kenyan bank, implemented AI-powered fraud detection, improving threat responses, which is good. In one Nigerian fintech, secured API using multi-factor authentication for better protection. In one South African firm, and probably many, successfully migrated to a secure cloud environment with compliance. Last slide. Chartered accountants are now to be perceived as cybersecurity leaders. 4 things need to be done in order for us to be there. Collaboration. We must work with cybersecurity experts to strengthen defenses. We must prioritize security. Ensure data protection remains central to all strategies. Embrace technology. If you're afraid of technology, you have an issue because it's ubiquitous now. Adopt emerging tech responsibility for innovation. Secure Africa future. We should safeguard African finance through proactive, and there is one word missing, measures. Now my closing message. Chartered accountants are no longer only guardians of financial accuracy. They are strategic advisors for Africa's digital future. Understanding emerging technologies and the risks allows us to uphold trust, guide compliance, and shape transformation with confidence. Thanks for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. I think we can do better than that. Can we put our hands together? What we hear anytime we talk about cybersecurity, the likes seems to put scares in the minds of people, especially when we're not abreast with it. Like I said there, AI, we're always excited about AI, but AI is actually a double-edged sword. It's used for what is good for us, enable our process. At the same time, it can also be used against you, especially when you don't know what to do about it. And so the question is, how well prepared are we? There's something that struck me here when he said, data security strategies for chartered accountants. What are those strategies? That one, there must be compliance framework. You must know about the framework in the first instance before you talk about the compliance. You must have risk assessment. There should be security training. And again, we're talking again about it, incident response. Because despite all this that you put in place, something could go wrong. And how do you respond? So all these plans must be in place. And that is why I just said too, that as accountants, as chartered accountants, we're not just financial gatekeepers. We're also expected to be advisors as it relates to cyber security protection of our organization. Otherwise, our organization will lose huge amounts of money. So we'll be going straight right now to a session of panel discussion. I'll be asking them questions. And please, as we go on, if you have questions, I expect you to please just document your questions. And at the right time, you'll be given an opportunity to ask your question and also make your contributions, because we also like to hear from you. And so we've spoken about three topics now. I'm going to be asking you, Thierry. It's going to be like two questions in one, because the question seems to flow for me. And so, what are the most common types of cyber threats facing financial institutions today? The common types, so that we can know. And how can accountants recognize signs of potential cyber security breach?
Thank you for those two questions in one. The most common type of attack is definitely DDoS. When people need their money, they need it now, not tomorrow, not in an hour, they need it now. Imagine you being lined up at the bank and not being able to retrieve your money. What would you do? You will leave the bank. You will get mad. And that's what attackers are counting on. What I forgot to mention is that DDoS is getting cheaper and cheaper. You go on the darknet and you pay $10 for a 100 gigabyte attack for 5 minutes. Yes, only $10. That was 2 years ago. It's probably now about $5. Costs are cut in half each year. So 100 gigabytes is a lot. It's like a lot of people trying to log in the bank at the same time. It would lock the gap, and it would lock you viewing what is on your bank account. That's number one. Number two is phishing. Bank employees are just like you and I, human beings. An attacker use social engineering to tackle on what is called the law of human nature. It is not tech, it is human nature. You see something nice, you click on it. You see something that frightens you, you click on it. With AI, I can list your different social network profile, and I will ask AI to go and tell me the name of your son, of your cat, of your husband, and so on and so forth. And then I will ask AI to draft an email that is really compelling from your kid's school saying, oh, your kid has an issue, click here to see the name of the professor and everything. That will block your mind. On a normal setting, you are rational. But when it comes to your loved ones, you will click on it. And that's where they get you. Because once you click on it, it opens a back door for an attacker. You will click, nothing will happen on your eye. But in behind, someone will be in the bank. So DDoS and phishing attacks, those are the most seen in this industry. And how does an accountant know that this happened? He can't know. That's why I said we need to collaborate. In the last thing that I put, we need to collaborate with cybersecurity expert. Our moderator here is CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker. Those people, they know. They use systems to track the internet traffic real time and to see if there is something weird. So we are not asked to detect it. We are asked to advise on the need to have such system and to provide a consequent budget for that. Thank you.
You can hear that. So I just ask, how can an accountant recognize these attacks? And the answer is, you can't. You know why you can't? You don't have the training, you don't have the skills. But you have a responsibility to collaborate with experts in that field. And that is why in your organization, I believe there are IT experts, cyber experts that will be able to make sure that your organizations are not clearly exposed to these cyber attacks. I'm going to ask you, Noah, and as we're talking, if you also have what you want to say about this, you can, please.
Sure.
Yo, please go ahead and say something about this.
Maybe just to supplement what my colleague has mentioned, the question about if you know, a component of if you know is a typical metric we keep track of is how long the hacker has been on your system. So the average time a hacker is on a system is 200 days before the incident. So 200 days, the hacker has been on your system, they're looking at how it works, they're looking at all the approvals, they're looking at all the chains, and once they have sufficient information is when they pull off the attack. So many times we make the mistake of going back to the incident and trying to find the hacker, yet he has been on the system for 200 days. The famous or infamous Sony hack, remember the Sony hack maybe about a decade ago?
PlayStation.
Yeah, the PlayStation system. The hacker had been on the system for 6 years, just observing, siphoning information, 6 years. There was a famous hack in the Department of Personnel in the US. The hacker had been there for three years. The SolarWinds attack in 2023, the hacker had been on the system for 600 days. So, like you said, it's difficult to know. And that's why we talk about collaboration and putting many of these policies and systems in place. And of course, my colleague talked about embracing new technologies. Now with AI, yes, it is a double-edged sword, but it's a very capable soldier on your side. They can notice anomalies that would also be missed by skilled professionals. So just a tidbit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. From what he has just said now, what came to my mind immediately is that when it comes to cyber attacks, there are two key classes of attack. Is either is a passive attack or an active attack. As you are here now, you may be under attack that you are not aware of. Like you just said, the attacker has been online watching you for the past 200 days, for the past 600 days. You're actually under attack at that time, but it's just that it's a passive attack. And that is why the policy must be in place. It must be active. It must be updated, because you don't know whether you are under a passive attack at the same time. That's what is mostly used under social engineering. Like I said, with social engineering, if I want to hack Thierry's bank account, the simple thing for me to do is, can I have your password, for instance? He's not going to give me. But I'll start observing him. I could start attacking him for the past 6 months. Knowing, observing his movement, knowing what he does, how he does it, he's really under attack. And if he's not careful and he doesn't put controls in place and does not update those controls, by the time I will be attacking actively. It would be as if that's the time I'm doing the attack, but I've started attacking him like 600 days ago. For Noah, you talked about safeguarding financial data in digital age. What are the most effective strategies financial institutions can implement to protect customer data against cyber threats?
Oh, thank you. You know, we learn every day. So, interestingly, I got an answer to that. I have what my thought would be, but I was watching a post-sports interview yesterday, and one of the commentators said that one of the coaching tricks they used to use is that they don't work with ifs, they work with when. And so my answer is, that is my new answer. It is when you get attacked, what will you do? Not if, when.
Yeah.
And that creates a mentality of readiness.
Yeah.
Because if you work with ifs, your mind works with best case scenario. It will never happen. As human beings, we are generally positive thinking of the future. It's very hard to find pessimists. They're there, but they're few. So we are all optimistic. So if we work with if, then you're always thinking of the best case scenario. Like if, it won't happen. But when, then you start putting things into perspective. One of the things is to create what you're going to do when the fire happens. When the crisis happens, what is going to be kicking in? And so one of the things that I've been thinking about, I authored a book called Cyber Hygiene, which talks about what are the practical things to prepare for an attack as an individual, and boiling it down the way the health sciences have boiled down hygiene. Hygiene is a complex attack of germs on your body, but no one talks about the acronyms of those germs. They tell you wash your hands before eating food. They tell you simple things that you can do that actually keep a lot of germs away. Why don't we take the same approach for cybersecurity? Because not everyone knows what the acronyms mean. Not everyone is a cybersecurity professional. But you can create content that is digestible by even children in some countries. These things are taught in primary school, cyber hygiene in primary school. So it is to prepare for the inevitable. You are going to get hacked. You're already being hacked now. The thing is, what are the SOPs in place? Yeah. One of the things that I do is create playbooks, a cyber crisis playbook. That would be one of my recommendations for the accounting profession. You have a step-by-step guide to help you know how to react when a crisis happens, or when you say indicators of a crisis. And so by that, you're already preparing. So if you're preparing to get attacked for ransomware, you're going to put backups in place. Yeah. And you're going to secure them air-gapped, meaning offline, so that the attacker cannot be able to access your backups. And so if you have a regime of backing up, say daily, that is offline, that means in the case of a ransomware attack, you're only 1 day late, you're only 1 day less. And so the value to the bounty of the attacker is less. Okay. I say that security is not the measures you put to keep the attacker out. It's an economics game. So if you increase the investment of the attacker, you are secure. Security is a matter of increasing the cost to the hacker. When you put strong passwords, you're increasing the cost to the hacker. When you put two-factor authentication, you're increasing the cost to the hacker, which is then in turn achieving you. So one of the best ways in which some organizations do is to demotivate the attacker, so that even though they can attack you, they're not motivated because the bounty is not there. And they do this in various ways. So to help us protect critical data, we must first understand that this data is valuable. I just gave the cost of just a name, email address, and sex or age. Just those 3 data units costs $149 to an organization. So what understanding then that makes you think back, okay, how do I protect this value? Even if it is from a regulatory standpoint. So understanding that you'll be hacked, putting together the policies and the methods of what you'll do when you get hacked, puts you in a state of constant preparedness. Yeah. And when you're there, then you're that much more secure. There is no one who's 100% secure. You're never going to be able to get rid of hackers. It's a cat and mouse game that has been continuing ever since human beings existed. However, you can always stay ahead of the game by being prepared. The last time I spoke at a meeting like this, I talked about one of my favorite superhero characters, Black Panther. So Black Panther meets his arch rival. And his arch rival, there is a dialogue. This is comics, not in the movies. And he meets his arch rival, and his arch rival is telling him, I have been training all my life for this moment. I'm going to defeat you. So Black Panther looks up at him and says, then you have already lost, because I've been training all my life for the unknown. So if we train all our life knowing that we're going to face an adversary that we don't know, we are better prepared than just looking at policies that we have had for the last 30 years.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So for want of time, because we're still going to take questions and response from the audience, I'm going to ask you, Thierry, what role does employee training play in mitigating cybersecurity threats in finance? Just in 2 minutes. What role does employee training play in mitigating cybersecurity threats in finance?
Thank you. I will be short. It is the biggest possible role. You can have very high walls, very thick doors, but if an employee opens the door, you are doomed. Training your employees by sending them fake phishing, and you see if they click on it, they have to do some training. I worked for PwC for 15 years, and we had this. They send you a message saying, oh, your boss says to click on this, and you stress because it's busy season in audit. You click on it, and then you have something showing in your screen. Well, first your screen becomes red, and they say you have to do this, 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 and this training by this time. At some point, legitimate emails of your boss, you don't even open it. That's what it is. But again, better safe than sorry. Training your employees is paramount to secure your data. So I would say in a scale of 1 to 10, where to put the money in your employee first, and then you will put it in the system. Because even though you put it in the system, you will still need to train the employee so they use those systems.
All right. Thank you very much. We consider the importance of the employees. Like I said earlier, no matter the IT infrastructure that you put in place, it is still the employee that will use it and implement. And this can also be used against the organization when the employees don't know exactly what to do with it. I'll go back to you, Noah. How can emerging technologies such as blockchain and artificial intelligence enhance the security of financial data? Just in 2 minutes.
Yes, and actually Thierry mentioned it in his keynote, the use of emerging technologies. So something like AI can sift through data much faster than you, and so that can be used to look at anomalies or even hidden patterns and trends within data to be able to catch adversaries. So AI is a very capable assistant when it comes to protection and safeguarding data. To mention something about blockchain, Thierry talked about encryption. So you could think of blockchain as encrypting not only data in transit and at rest, but even at transaction level, meaning that every transaction is encrypted. Not only is the data encrypted, the pipe is encrypted, and the transaction is encrypted. So you're adding sort of like a 3-layer security to it. And it is currently being developed, and it is now reaching maturity. And you find central banks are using it. You find that now blocks like Asia are starting to settle financially your own blockchain. China and its digital renminbi, and then you find entities like, bank blocks. I saw an article by Swift, and they are now starting to put a certain number of transactions on blockchains because of the heightened security. And so yes, emerging technologies have good potential to be able to secure our systems, but then again, it comes with a learning curve, and which goes back to the people training point that my colleague mentioned. Yes, but then we do have the opportunity to be able to scale up in terms of protection by starting to invest and look into these emerging technologies like blockchain and artificial intelligence.
All right, thank you very much. Let me quickly also ask you, Thierry, You spoke about emerging technologies and their impact on data security strategies. How can interoperability of platforms improve security and efficiency of financial transaction? How?
Thank you. It could, but it could also be the opposite. So let me tell you how it could. When you build a house, you better have it built by the same person. If you have, let's say, the basement built by employee A, and the first floor by employee B, and the third floor by employee C, your house won't last. Interoperability means here having the system talk to each other. And by doing this by design, you avoid leaving breaches in which the hacker would infiltrate and steal your data. If it is done correctly, interoperability, it brings great advantages. But if it's just paste and stitches, you will be in big trouble. Back in 2006, this is 18 years ago, I started using a distribution of Linux called Backtrack. Now in 2013, it became Kali. You know it very well. It gathered all the tools that someone needs to hack into a system. And the motto, which is in the background of this distribution, is as such: the quieter you are, the more you can hear. That's exactly the mindset of hackers. They can stay for 6 years observing you, seeking data, because sometimes it's not you the target, it's the company you work for. Yeah. Think about it.
That's quite interesting. Just know that you can be under attack now. Probably we're under attack now. The next 5 minutes I'll be done with this. I'm going to ask you, Noah, what are the key challenges and best practices for ensuring compliance with data protection regulation in a rapidly evolving digital landscape? Just in 2 minutes.
Okay, I'll be quick. Regulations are pretty clear, and I've looked through our regulations on data protection, and I'm speaking to accounting professions. You know, you're one of the most well-regulated, well-documented in terms of operating procedures, so you know how to follow procedures. One of the things that I would advocate for is making them, rather than a checkbox, making them something that is practiced. I talked about a playbook. And a playbook, the difference between a playbook and a standard operating procedure, that, you know, the way we think about it, is that this can be looked at frequently, and then compliance is then presumed. I'll just give you a snippet of what a playbook would look like. For example, when there's a cyber incident, within the first hour, you know, the CFO convenes the cyber team, and then you start discussing what the impact is. In hour 4, you have preliminary loss and materially memo audit that is sent to the chairperson of the board in the 4th hour. After 24 hours, external auditors are briefed and a draft disclosure message is drafted. In the 48 hours, you updated your cash flow forecast, and you've started having these conversations with your financial professionals. On the 72nd hour, you're starting to have conversations with your regulator, and a Q&A, an FAQ has been drafted. After 30 days, you have a full report documented of what the process, how it happened, and what you did, and what impact on budget it has. So that is very practical, because if this is documented, you know that when an incident happens, I need to do this in hour 1, I need to have done this in hour 4, and so by doing that, we are now getting ahead of just compliance, and now the compliance is working for us in protecting us.
Thank you very much. I think PAFA is here. Of course, I can see some board members of PAFA seated here listening to us. And I feel PAFA should be in touch with these guys. Yes, we need to have an SOP for this. as a kind of a response. That's a standard operating procedure. And it's important. I think we should take it from here. Let me ask the last question. I'll be asking Thierry the last question. What security measures should be considered when using open API for financial services integrations?
Thank you. The first thing is to read. Read through the manual of the API. An API can come off the shelf. If you install it, you better know what is in there in terms of functioning, but also read the code. For an API, you can request the code, so you need to be a little bit knowledgeable or ask someone who is, just like AI, and ask it specific question like, do you see any vulnerability? Also, be sensitive on how often this API is updated. A vulnerability can come from Windows not being updated and there is a breach. When there is a breach, you need to upgrade and update your system to make sure that the patches are applied. So it's all about reading the procedures around the API before choosing to have it or to keep it. If you have the choice between free and, to be paid API, please use the pay version. You will save a lot of money along the way. Free means that you are the product. So never go free on an API, especially when it comes to financial institutions.
Thank you very much. Please come put our hands together for the panelists. And so now I have like 10 minutes for questions and comments, input from the audience. If you have a question or you have something to say, maybe like just 2, 3, 4 people, please can you indicate by raising your hand so that we can identify you. Okay, so I can see the lady there. Maybe you can just please come out. Just come out. I can see that hand over there too. Yeah, please come out. Come out. Only 2. Yes, over there. Yes, please come out too. You raise your hand. Maybe one more lady, because I don't want Alta to be that they're superwomen, right? Superwomen. No other lady. Okay, so it's not my fault. So I have a man. Please come out. Please just have 2 minutes maximum, please. 2 minutes maximum to ask your question or make your input. Thank you. And then your question can be directed to any of the panelists specifically, or it could just be an open question while they take notes.
Okay.
Please, your name and your affiliate.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Valerie Miambo. I'm with CABS. I'm the CFO. My question is to the panelists. Thank you for the presentation. It's giving me nightmares, but thank you. So what I wanted to find out was on how to strengthen incident response plans. I found in my experience that you can test it as often as you want, and for some reason when you test, everything is always good. You come back up quite quickly, but when an attack really happens, it takes so much longer for you to get back to where you should be and start operating again. So how do you strengthen the plan so that what you experience during testing is what you actually experience when an attack happens? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question, whoever is taking the question, take notes. We're going to answer the questions within 3 minutes.
All right. Sorry. Thank you very much. John from Lesotho. I'm the CFO. My company operates an internet banking system where we make payments. So on the system, anytime we put username, password, it sort of like blinks and goes blank. It needs you to re-input your user ID and the password. So my IT people are concerned that that could be a cyber attack. But the bank says it's a security feature. That says you have to re-input your credentials. So how do we sort of like have standard security features where if the bank says it's a security feature, for you to re-enter it again and my team is saying, no, that poses a cyber attack because anytime it blinks, where did it go? Thank you.
Let's just take note. You're going to answer the questions.
All right.
3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, our panelists. My name is CPA Stephen Inaget, country managing partner for KPMG in Uganda and supporting Rwanda. I'm an auditor, and just to quickly share what I observe in the course of audit. One, when we're looking at financial institutions, we see global banks having very strong systems. And when you come down to regional banks, you start seeing medium kind of attacks, so many of them, but not as many as the local banks. And of recent, we are seeing increased attempts on local banks. The other observation is when it comes to actual losses, there is a lot of secrecy within the financial sector that you do not get a chance to learn from the banks which have had losses. Of course, obvious reasons, reputation and all that. But from a policy perspective, what do you think needs to be done such that this reporting is streamlined to provide lessons to the entire financial sector? The laws you're speaking to in Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, very good data protection laws. But when it comes to compelling these financial institutions to report the actual losses, that seems to be the missing link. As I conclude, when you look then at insurance companies, they almost have no idea about cybersecurity. Come down to pension schemes, investment funds, the situation is worse. From a policy perspective again, and you as experts, what are you doing to make sure this information goes to the entire financial sector as opposed to just banks?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one. I can see a lady just came up now. Okay, you'll be the last person to come because of time.
I am Dr. Friday Nyambe, managing partner of AMG Global Chartered Accountants. We've got our firm in many African countries. I wish to thank you for your presentation on security, cybersecurity. In our auditing, we do look at the procedures we need to follow for money laundering. We follow Caseware for our auditing. That's a software we use, Caseware. Now, I would like to know exactly how you can help us to train our staff to be aware of phishing or what they should do. Well, you have given us a general overview, but what are the steps we need to do? I think many of us here are accountants. We do not know what we need to go and do unless if we ask two of you, we have presented to come and teach us. But what is it that we need to implement immediately so that if things are serious, they are more than what we can, we call you for your assistance. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last question, powerful board members here seated. It's very important what we're saying, and I think we need to do something about this. And I think it will open PAFA up better into this space. The last question.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Mary Saba, and I work with NGOs in Ghana. My question is, well, appearing to be a summary of most of the questions that have been asked, but it looks like in most of these conversations around cybersecurity, they have been tailored to specific subject areas. When we look at data protection, there are national level regulations. We look at policies, they may be organizational level specific policies. The question is, what is the standardized global solution to this cybersecurity? Is there a way we can have this standardized solution shared so that even if after accountants have met, beyond only the accountancy profession, it is standard that every aspect of professionalism can pick it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm still telling PAFA, you have an opportunity now. So I'm going to give my panelists just 3 minutes each to, we didn't start on time, to just speak to this. If you can do it in 2 minutes, please do it in 2 minutes.
For sure, we'll try.
Lewis is disturbing me.
We'll try to do it in 2 minutes. So 5 questions. The first was how to strengthen the response plan. We came here to frighten you. This is done. Now, how do you get the cure? It's all about, again, education. And now I'm also answering the third question, how to make your staff be more knowledgeable about phishing. It's all about gamifying the learning. Nature has chosen games for any knowledge that is too hard to learn. Lions, baby lions, learn to hunt by playing. Just do this. You can hire a consultant that will build a game that is around your company, and your employees will be playing it. The problem with phishing is that when you click on the wrong button, you're ashamed. You don't want anyone to know. That's the thing. So number 1, gamify the learning. Number 2, make it remove the fear from your employees to say, oops, I click on the wrong link. So have this policy of report, all right? And John from Lesotho asked, standard security features, goes blank, it blinks. Well, this is, if I were to connect on a bank and it will blink and I will enter my password, it won't go, I will stop connecting. So is there standards to be followed? Certainly, there are NIST that designed some standards. There are some ISO, I forgot exactly which ISO, but there are standards. And if banks and companies try to improvise and do the things, it won't go well. So just follow the standards instead of creating new ones.
Thank you.
And money laundering caseware, how to train staff. Yeah, I responded to this. From Ghana, cybersecurity specific to sectors. Yes. Since here we are with chartered accountant, we insisted on the financial sector and everything. But there are standardized solutions. We need to go further. And again,
no problem.
PAFA.
Thank you.
PAFA.
Thank you. I'm happy Alta is here. I've been talking about PAFA, and your board members have been here. They've been hearing us. There's a huge opportunity for us from this. Let me hear from Noah, just in 2 minutes, please. Just 2 minutes.
Okay, good thing that he has mentioned many of them. The question I'd have is, when you say you've tested your incident response, what is a test? Do you simulate a real hack? Are people, I was part of an exercise last week where we were actually put in a war room, phones were ringing, the regulator was calling. When people get the feel of an actual attack, then you have a lot of learning. It is a very rich experience. So it's not to check whether this policy is there, is this there, can you do a simulated, those are very sanitized tests. But going through real, and pay for them. There are organizations that have these simulated tests. They come into your organization, they simulate an attack, and then we see how well you're following those procedures. That is a very eye-opening exercise. And once you do it, then you will know how rigorous. But gamification is a good thing, because that then puts a real world, because many of these policies are in papers. Getting them into the real world, and then someone remembers that this is this is step 1, this is step 2, you're winning at that point. The spend of global banks versus local banks, yes, because again, if a record is $149 and you have 1 million records, you're going to wake up very fast on your spend on cybersecurity. And so it's just realizing that we have a responsibility to protect systems. And so regional or local banks don't have this realization yet, but it's going to come.
Thank you.
They talked about when an incident happens, what do we do? There are regional, like for example, organizations, he's talking about PAFA. PAFA, because of disclosure requirements, we are not able to learn from someone's hack. But then there are technical ways in which these, what we call indicators of compromise, can be shared without disclosing personal information or disclosing information that would hurt an organization. And so, for example, members of PAFA, I know that's, when you saw my profile, the NISAG, the National Information Security Advisory Group, that's what we do. We oversee cybersecurity in the whole of the country and critical infrastructure. So when one organization is hacked, within the group we have a mechanism where those indicators of compromise are shared so that the other organizations are strengthened. So having those collaborations are necessary.
Thank you very much. Please can we put our hands together for them? We want to thank us for listening attentively, and your questions have been also thought-provoking. Thank you for making this forum quite interesting. Like I will say again, I think PAFA should have a cybersecurity SOP that we can also actually deploy to our members. I will be very, very glad to be part of that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, thank you. Put your hands together for them.
ACOA.